So let's talk about this exam and what is it that I want you to do. And again, it's not too dissimilar from what it is, but it's just, I know, I get excited about these things. I apologize for my excitement. It gets always the better of me when it comes to new assignments. And this is a test on how this would work, and I don't want to make this so that it becomes too cumbersome for you, because again, I don't know how well you'll do this. And my assumption is you guys know about these things because I know about these things, and, you know, I feel old. So it's just one of those things that happens. And I don't mean that in the sense that for your age. I mean that in the sense of like truly how I feel, not real age-wise. I know many of you are adults, so this is not that case. But you know, what I want you to do here is something similar, except that instead of Pi, I want you to use ChatGPT. So let me take you to ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you Google, right? As soon as you start writing ChatG, it pops in, right? And you go in and you click to ChatGPT, and there is a login for it as well. And yes, I have a login in here, and here's kind of history of things that I've done, but this is where it puts you up. And so recommended activities, plan a trip, it does all these other things. It can plan an itinerary for you. I know people who have created itineraries of a trip that they're taking and use this as a way to kind of like, you know, create a plan for them. It's a fun tool to play with, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of faculty, a lot of, you know, are concerned about this is the end of the world, no one's going to write anymore, to which I say, who cares? You know, that's how technology works. Eventually, we'll move on into a better way of doing things and then something else to complain about. And so what I want from you is to kind of highlight some of the weaknesses of something like this. I think this is where really the lesson comes in. It's not just understanding sociology to me, which is extremely important. It's the process of understanding sociology in a particular way, but then understanding the tools that we have around us that help us to, you know, make sense of our world. So what I'm asking you to do, right, is to answer this question, you know, plus or minus half a page, you know, 2 pages, an understanding of the concepts. We know vocabulary of the field of sociology, expect a minimum of 3 sources, right, apply a sociological lens. These are things that I want you to look at. And here are the questions. And I just want you to take one. And I'm going to take the first one, right? You saw me select and copy, right, because I like doing things the easy way. And I come here and I say, write me a 2-page paper what's going on with this. Give me a second. Alright, here you go. Yeah, I shouldn't even say write a 2-page paper with citations for, and then paste for middle sociology education, right? And all I did was copy and paste. I didn't even get into the, you can write this up, you can change it, you know, so it actually says, you know, with citations for middle sociological imagination, where we understand the important how it's an important concept, why it's an important concept in sociology, and illustrate that how it is illustrated in this. You could fix this all you want, you know, so that you can get the best possible paper that you think that you can get from it. So I click go, 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 and ChatGPT says, yeah, I'm going to get this for you. I got this. Don't you worry. I got this totally for you. Right? And ChatGPT goes, bam, here it is. What? Citations? What? Holy cow. Who's this Michael Foucault guy? So, all right. So I'm going to highlight my paper, right? Click in, copy. And then I'm going to go back to Word. Now I'm going to create a new document. And I click, why do I use the text only one instead of the formatted one. It's because you can see the formatted one always gives you these weird things, like it turns it into tables. It does the formats. You never trust formats that are coming from elsewhere. So I like just, keep the text only, and it gives you a good sense of where it's going. And here it goes, and there's my paper. And what is my job? My job now is to review this paper and correct it for errors, right? And, Grammarly has stepped in, and if you can see down here in the corner, Grammarly actually is telling me that it's got 10 things that it's concerned about. I can click on this, and it'll start to give me, like, these are the things I'm concerned about, right? In his seminal work. So instead of saying C. Wright Mills in his seminal work, it's telling me, no, you should write it this way. In his seminal work, The Sociological Imagination, C. Wright Mills argues. So it's correcting ChatGPT to say that they don't know what they're writing. This is how it should write, right? This is the best part about, putting these things together, right? Here's another example, right? As a discipline, sociology endeavors to understand society by examining the intricate interplay between individual experience and societal structures. That is a freaking awesome sentence. Like, I wish I could think that eloquently. Obviously, it's still not as good as, the way Grammarly. I think I like the way Grammarly is put it together. So, but this is what your job is. Your job is to read this. Now you have this essay. Now review the essay, right? So you have to go through and edit it. So now you could track changes, right? In Word, sorry, I apologize. I know you can do this in the other ones. I'm just using Word for convenience because it makes my life a little bit easier. It's the thing I have right in front of me, but I could do track changes in Word fairly easily right here where it says review, and I click track changes, and I click on, for everyone or just mine, because if you're sharing the document, it would be for everyone. And then whatever I change, right, it'll keep tracks of, right? So it'll start processing the changes that I'm asking to, right? So it says, oh, okay, so I'm going to change it this way. And now it tracks my changes. So you can do it that way. Or you can copy this whole thing and then copy and paste it a second time. And in the second one, and then you call this your original, right? So let me show you what I'm talking about, because I know that I'm getting a little confusing. So I'm going to turn off track changes. I think I already did by doing that. Nope. Apologies for wasting your time. There we go. I got rid of the track changes. So now when I start to, so it's no longer doing track changes. So I want to do this real quick. I can copy and paste this. Control copy. This will be my original, and then I create a new thing. Here's my second one, and then I use the second one, and this is the one that I decide that I'm going to actually do the changes in, right? I'm just going to use Grammarly for at this moment, right? And do the changes in, but read through it and make sure that it makes sense, right? So central to his endeavor, C. Wright Mills' concept of sociology, which possess the understanding personal troubles require contextualizing them with larger social issues. This paper explores the social imagination can shed light on phenomenon of wokeness, political contemporary correctness in contemporary society. Is that how you would word it? Would you change that? Does this sound right to you? Right? This is where you have to kind of say, like, no, this is, I would change this, make it more simple. This is too long. Do you need these, like, separate sections, right? Do you need those? Those are kind of things to look at. In his seminal work, The Sociological Imagination, C. Wright Mills argues that individuals often perceive their personal problems as isolated incidents, failing to recognize the broader social forces at play. He emphasizes the need for a bridge gap between personal biography and historical context, enabling a deeper understanding of societal dynamics. By the way, this is how we know you did not write this, because there is no way. This is PhD sociology writing, right? So this is what you have to look for in this. Now, it's great writing. As far as I'm concerned, this is a good example, right? It kind of gives you a good understanding. But how does it match with the materials I gave you? Does it fit? How do you fit the materials I gave you into this? how well does this give you an understanding of the sociological imagination from what you got from my materials? Does this do a better job? If it does, and maybe it's just a different perspective. You know how sometimes you get things in one perspective, and then you try it in a different perspective, and then you try it in a third perspective, and somehow the combination of those three different ways of getting it, or it being introduced to you, allow you to be able to understand something. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is that you read the text, you saw my lecture, or you read the materials that I gave you, and then now this is the third way in which you can use this tool to provide you a better understanding of things. So you can go to Pi, or you can go to ChatGPT, and you can say, hey, you know what? I want to figure this out, right? So I'm going to go back to Pi. And what happens if I... Sorry, took the whole damn thing and put it in there. My apologies. If I ask Pi the question, right? So ChatGPT, hey Pi, maybe it gives you enough, maybe it doesn't. Maybe what you should do is compare what you get from Pi versus what you get from ChatGPT and how you would critique the two ways in which it describes it to you. Again, this is new that I'm putting together for you, and I want you guys to be able to make sense of what these tools are there for. Plus, I want you to read through this and see if how this gives you an understanding of the sociological imagination. It might be that you prefer the way that Pi describes this, right? So when it goes into wokeness, a personal and societal perspective, wokeness, also referred to as a political correctness, referred to an awareness and sensitivity to social inequalities, particularly those based on identity markers such as race, gender, and sexuality. And it cites Leichenhoff and Heidegger. The term emerged in contemporary discourse in a way to describe the heightened consciousness of systemic inequality and efforts to challenge the status quo. Monk 2021. Social imagination encourages us to consider the relationship between personal experience and societal structure. Applying this framework to wokeness, it becomes evident that individual personal experience with discrimination and marginalization often inform their engagement with political correctness. On the societal level, wokeness reflects broader cultural shifts and movements working to disrupt systemic oppression and promote equity. But what the hell does that mean? That is your responsibility. How do you do it? Man, I'm not asking for too much. Just copy and paste this, and then you write your notes, right? Distinguish them. Make them a different color. Make them a different, do the, brackets. And then just say, I would write like this and add these examples. This is not clear enough for me. And then you go into describing as to why that is, right? You edit, you critique, you analyze. That's your job for these assignments. That's all I want you to do. Strangely enough, I think it'll give you a good sense of, some of these concepts in sociology. But I hope that it gives you a good opportunity to be able to see some of the weaknesses that exist in ChatGPT. The sources are good. These sources are really good sources. Robert DiAngelo, Michael Foucault, these are great sources. If I go to the ChatGPT one, right? For some reason it's not wanting to take me there. Then you can see how it gives you a different, perspective on what you're doing, right? So I want you to think about these assignments. I want you to think about how you would put this together. I don't want you getting so caught up and the details about this. I know it's complicated, but I apologize that um, I'm not giving you all the information that you need in a clear way, but I just want you to kind of test this out and see how this works for you, right? And here, right, use Robin DiAngelo, um, uh, Lukyanov, Mills, Monk, right? It uses those sources. ChatGPT gives you Mills, Patricia Hill Collins, Robin DiAngelo, Michael Foucault, uh, Ali Hochschild, all great sociologists. So it gives you these kind of stories. Double check to make sure that the site references are right. Do the references make it too high of a level? How would you use this? See what you can do. I'm looking for at least 2 pages of your responses, right? That's your responses. 2 pages of your own responses. Not what ChatGPT has given you or Pi has given you, but of your critiques. Go through and critique it with the equivalent of what would be 2 pages worth of critiques. If you can't determine that because you're writing underneath it, then take a separate page and write it out on a separate page, and then write out your critique formally. I don't care about how well written your critique is. I know that the critiques are going to be specific to particular paragraphs or particular sections, so your organization of your critique only has to reflect the organization in which the paper that was given. So that's fine, right? You're just critiquing different sections and highlighting different sections. Your conclusion is your overall assessment of how ChatGPT worked for you or how Pi worked for you. I really hope this was helpful. I apologize for the confusion. Just do the best you can. Worst case scenario, this is just too crazy, too outlandish, too insane. What is wrong with this professor? Then you know what? Just answer these 3 essays in a 2-page paper. You answer it. Traditional, right here, 1, 2, and 3. Answer these 3 essays within a 2-page paper, 2 to 4 pages, right? It probably will take that long to get some of this stuff. 2 to 4 page paper, and using the materials and sources and that you've been given, and of course in a traditional essay format. So that's your option, to just do the traditional, which is perfectly fine. Just right on the top, I decided to do a traditional, and I'm just going to respond to these essays on my own. I hope this is helpful. I apologize for the length of the video. If there's anything I could do to make this clearer, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.